Hey there everyone, this is comedian Berger. I'm currently in Austin, Texas, and I have something to share with you which I will consider the greatest news of your life. Big announcement, you guys. I am currently starting my own comedy podcast. Yeah, because, you know, everyone else is doing it, so might as well the Berg dog get on the action. Yeah, for my podcast, I'll be interviewing fellow comedians, friends, and who knows, perhaps even America's first female president. Time will tell. Yeah, and guess what? We already got episode 1 recorded, and that's the episode you're about to watch soon. The first comic that I interviewed was my good buddy, Will Spottedbear. For those of you who know Will Spottedbear, you know he is a veteran and a half native. And I figured, like, he deserves to be the first guest because natives were here in America first, so they might as well be on my podcast first. We had a good time talking and getting episode 1 out of the way. Hope you enjoy it, and look forward to more mayhem to come. Oh, I'm gone. And, well, guys, it's now official. We are in the podcast business. Yep, my name's Berger. This is what is now known as the Berger podcast. This is episode 1. This is what I call the Genesis episode. So this is gonna set the tone for things to come. I'm here with my first guest is comedian Will Spottedbear.
Pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
Pleasure to have me here. Thank you.
And we're being tech monitored by my brother.
How's it going?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I normally with things I don't know if I was supposed to like make noise and stuff like to help with the cause. So I feel bad because I'm like, because I can make any sound effects or something, but I'm just like, no, let's see where he goes with this. Let's make it weird early on.
Or have your own pre-recorded theme song.
Yeah. I am upset I did not have entrance music, Kelly. I think we need to would have been good something Phil Collins related. That would have been helpful.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we'll give an introduction. Like, my name's Berger. I call myself a local comedian down here in Austin, Texas, and I started comedy in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I met our guest today, Will Spottedbear.
Yep. I'm also a comic of various consistency. I'm doing pretty good. I got married during the plague, so I now have like a house and I'm happy, and so it's weird.
Yeah, what was it like getting married during the pandemic?
Oh, it was fun. It was honestly it was really great because we were gonna get married anyway. We already had like a marriage thing, like I proposed on all stuff already. So I was gonna we're gonna have this big wedding, but it was really awkward because I hated the idea of having a wedding.
Yeah.
Like I didn't mind being married, but the weddings they're like, well, your family can come to one location. And I'm like, no, thank you. I don't want that. I also have many different families that have never dealt with each other.
Yeah, but with your awkwardness, was it already going to be like 6 feet apart to begin with?
Yeah, dude. That's the thing. Like COVID, what do you call them? Precautions. We're basically East Coast lifestyle anyway. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, so it's like you need 6 feet. You need 8. Like to be honest with you, you know what I mean. No dancing. None of us are dancing. Shit like that. But we ended up getting married at Minnehaha Falls with like 6 people, and it was great because when we did the wedding, it was mostly around civilians, right? Like non-comics. Yep. And the thing is with comics is whenever they get a chance to be to show any other emotion but humor, they go way too hard into it, man. Like a theater kid reading freaking The Notebook. You know what I mean? Like way too in the cut. So
they take it more literal than an autistic person.
Yeah. They'll just I think that's it. I think it's just whatever whatever neurodivergence in our head, we know we can show emotion here. So we just like get on the mic and start crying. That's all comics do. Like,
Yeah, but
I've
by the
known
way,
this guy for so long.
and by the way, I can make fun of neurodivergences. I am like the most neurodivergent of them all.
We got some friends that could probably run you for that money, but it is
Yeah.
it is the thing. Well, the thing is too is like I think like because with you it's funny because the only reason we made friends was you were like, have you read books about body language? And I'm like, dude, I've read so many books on body language because I needed to learn how to do it, and I just learned how to be like more outgoing with my masking. And so, like, I learned to move your eyebrows when you talk and move with your hands and not look serious. I'm a big guy, right?
And
Like,
keep your body language open.
yeah, open, kind of like don't lean into people, move
Yep.
around. If you stay still, it's weird. Uh, watch their feet because their feet don't lie as much as their hands do. So
And
that way I don't keep someone stuck. Oh, sorry,
and
guy.
position yourself in a non-threatening manner.
Yeah, yeah, all that
Yeah.
stuff, dude. I had to
I
read
read
up
like
on
a
that
ton of
for
those
years.
books last couple years too, because I'm trying to, because I take things like on the, like there's people communicate like on the verbal level and the non-verbal,
Mhm.
and the non-verbal stuff is like sort of the involuntary, what they really mean.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
people on the spectrum, they're sort of locked into like the word form of communication thing, like, okay, this is what he literally means.
Yeah. I I don't get subtext. Like I get it now, but like I don't naturally like I had to study it. So like if I'm having a rougher day and someone says something, I'm just like, that's probably what they meant. I don't care. Or they're lying to me and I don't care. I just know whatever the like if they're completely full of shit, I'm just like, oh, they're full of shit. Who cares? Oh, if I'm sorry if I'm not allowed to cuss. Um, I feel like you don't care, Kelly. And Darren
Yeah, I
also
don't
looks
care.
like he's on the razor's edge. But just look at him. He's been on 1,000 miles of that road. So
Yeah, this is
yeah,
the
like,
pilot episode, so we can have a couple of crashes, just not
fair
two.
enough. Fair enough. Okay, okay. So but yeah, like yeah, it's an interesting take of watching of having to learn that and watching you learn it and then get better with it. Because it was cool to see you get like so much better with it. I don't know if you want this podcast to be about you, but why you're so great, Kelly, is this.
Yes. Oh, please stop praising me. I'm being bashful.
I know it's gonna be tough. That's how you get people like us. It's like, dude, your hair looks really nice, Kelly. I kind of
Thank
like
you.
it. If you guys can't see because this is on a video program, guys, you are missing out. It looks amazing. So does Darren. I mean, everyone's doing great. I'm having a pretty good hair day too.
Yep. We all
Yeah, we're
just
killing it.
we all just rolled out of bed just looking like this.
Yeah, it's like amazing. Like we got perfect colors on for our skin tones. I mean, what the hell are we doing, guys?
Right.
Mm. If we
Yep.
can hear
So,
my iced coffee, I'm sorry.
that's a nice iced coffee. Yep. So how's North Carolina?
Oh, it's really good. I when I'm in the scene so far is really nice and cool, and everyone's really chill.
Nice.
It doesn't have crazy winters, which is lovely.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
yeah,
I do sort of miss some of the winters sometimes down here because I moved from Minneapolis, Minnesota to Austin, Texas.
yeah. What's the weather
So
like there?
we've had like constant days of 100.
Yeah. What isn't it true? But hasn't that been the case up there too?
In Minnesota.
No, has it not been hundreds?
Darren, you're up in Minnesota. Like, how many
Yeah.
100 days has it been?
We haven't hit 100 yet this year.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair
We've
enough.
come close a couple of times, but it just hasn't happened yet.
All right.
Yeah, I have been reading some posts from some friends up in Minnesota complaining about the heat, and I'm just like, pussies.
Yeah, no, dude. Yeah, you guys
I don't know.
complain for 6 months out of the year. Yeah, people don't respect that snow, that cold. Because once it gets to zero, it's not like you feel it anymore. It's just your body's dying. Like that's it, right? Like it doesn't feel bad. I look great in layers. I didn't mind it, but
Yep, I survived 2 Texas winters, and it was only like 2 days.
dude. But you guys, but I've been in enough Texas to know like that weather's crazy. Like
Yeah,
I've seen a
it's
flood at 11, and then it'd be like dry and nice at 2.
yeah, like when it rains down here, like it really rains down here. Like one
Yeah.
day, I was gonna go to like an open mic, but it just flooded like super fast last year, and then we had that tornado warning.
Mm. Yeah, no, that yeah, that's That's the thing
Like,
about Texas. I was like, got
like they like to compare like the winters down here in Texas to like that one Saturday Night Live sketch what Tina Fey did about like that pill that reduces a woman's period like to 1 day. Like it's only 1 day, but it's one extreme day.
Yeah, that's fair. That's funny.
Like I had to drive over an overpass on the one winter's day, and it was like an instant ice ring.
Yeah, since I've been here, I've seen ice on the ground maybe 2 weeks total. Like, I mean, like water, like there's some water with a little ice over it. Like you could step in it, you put your finger through it. And it snowed here once, and it was already gone after it was almost gone after the second day. It was like that, that first snow where it's all slush and like you can't really move it. It was just that.
And did they shut everything down with that 1 inch of snow?
Yeah, but no, but to be fair, because this happened in Pittsburgh too, where Pittsburgh is like, well, Pittsburgh shuts down for 4 inches or 6 inches. It's like, but everything's on a hill, right? So it's like not everything's built. Minnesota is like nothing but flat and wide. You can push a lot of snow out. In like most other places. What's that?
It's just flat and spreads the wealth.
Yeah, and so, but no one here knows how to drive. They don't have the same kind of tires, and then also, we've all been in enough Minnesota winters. The people that like, it's not like the people from Minnesota don't drive like psychos the first time because everyone goes, no, I'll get tires later. Like they don't think the snow's going to come this year for once. And so you see a bunch of 350s spinning like tops down Lindale,
Yeah, it's always the confident drivers who get in the most accidents, thinking like, I've been to so many winters, I ain't got this.
Yeah. Who needs tread? I got confidence. Have you ever spun out? Have you ever done a spinny?
I did one time down here during the first winter here, but that was like my first day at the job at the metal fabrication place. And when I showed up there, I was like the only guy who showed up for work that day. Because I've been through winters before, and everyone was just like, nope, we're just calling it in.
Right. Oh, you're the man. Yeah, you're unstoppable. Like 2 inches of snow. I've been through this.
Yeah, I said, like, I'm from Minnesota. I have Viking blood. I'm built for the winter.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, this year's been crazy, though, at least up here, because, like, normally it's, like, warm down here, but it's, like, as warm in Minnesota. Like, because Minnesota gets pretty hot in the summer. Like, it's either negative 100 or over 100. It just doesn't go to 50 that often.
Yeah, I ran into one text and thought it was, like, winter up here all year round.
Yeah. Well,
no, we get different seasons, like, we get different kinds of people.
Oh, I'm terrified of where the future of that the end of that catchphrase goes.
It's diversity is good.
What season is Kelly like? The white snow. Listen. Don't answer that, Kelly. I don't want to be a part of the real answer. Listen.
It's where I'm the most covered up. I can conceal my intentions on my skin.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's fun.
Yep. So, speaking like of North Carolina, before, like, which part of Carolina are you in?
Charlotte.
Nice. And you've been able to hit the stand-up scene out there?
A little. So I when I got down here, everything was closed down because like every state had different rules for the comedy, which was weird. So Minnesota worked pretty well during the COVID stuff with working off of what the scientists were saying, which was, I don't know, I thought that was nice, right? Like it was inconsistent, but at least it had like you could follow their line of logic.
Yep, everyone's still like you moved at the end of 2020.
2020, yeah, end of 2020.
Okay, yep, that was still going.
Yeah, I set fire to that AutoZone and then I just left. I went and made a big splash. That's a real inside joke for the guys that get it.
Yep.
No, I left in November. We left in November. And yeah, so like Minnesota would work off the science, right? So like your bar could be open, but it couldn't be open after 9
Right.
because after 10, people get so drunk that they want to whisper secrets to each other, which sounded silly unless you think about it. Because I remember a bunch of guys, like I'd be like at a bar show, they have the mask on, and they'd be like, "Hey, Will, let me tell you something." And they pull down their mask to get really close, and it's like, "Yo, we're not kissing, homie. What are you, what are you doing this?" But like Wisconsin, South Dakota, and like every other surrounding state, it was like the Wild West. You could just do anything you want out there, right? You can have a kissing booth if you wanted. And so you could do some pretty good shows up in the upper Midwest during 2020.
And also
And I mean, like,
also in the rural areas, like
yeah.
I did my first headlining gig way up north at Lake of the Woods during September of 2020.
Yeah. Were there any survivors?
Not after I left the stage.
Fuck yeah. Oh, heck yeah. Golly gee Wilkers. Yes.
Yeah, and also I noticed like in Minnesota, like the rules were really set down in like the city areas, and then once you got in like the country, people were just like doing their own thing like they usually did.
Yeah, that stuff was interesting. And so yeah, so that's I think that was true with most places. But when I moved down here, I was doing Zoom shows more. And
I remember just watching Zoom comedy and just saying like, I think this will be just like my time just to meditate and reflect.
It was interesting because like some people really got into it because it's almost like doing radio. Like so Zoom had an interesting vibe. If you ever so when they first started doing it, we started doing it. They would wind the screen. They shut everyone else's mic off, right? Mm-hmm. And then they would wind the screen to just be you. So you're telling jokes, but just to yourself, like you're talking in a mirror, and that's almost like just shaving your hand to the bone of how awkward and painful this was, right? Just it was the worst. And
comedy didn't make people's narcissism worse to begin with.
Yeah, well, narcissism, and like I don't know, maybe there might be comics that love themselves. I'm not one of them, so when I'm just looking at myself, I'm just like, oh, gross, and I tell jokes, right?
Yep.
Eventually, they got. Oh, God.
I remember during the pandemic where I watched 2 videos of these 2 comic guys giving advice. Like, you ever watched the YouTube channel of this one guy? He wrote the book like Don't Wear Shorts on Stage. I forgot his name.
Yeah. I don't remember the guy's name, but
he gave his thoughts on the Zoom advice, and then you also know Jeff Corley, the joke doctor.
Yeah.
Yep, those 2 guys. I know. They gave advice on Zoom shows, and they had 2 different perspectives on it.
Okay.
One guy said, like, yeah, during this Zoom time, it's the guy who wrote the book Don't Wear Shorts on Stage. He said, like, during this time of COVID, just like focus on your day job, take this time to do some self-healing, do that. And then the other guy, he said, like, hey, this is an opportunity to try something new, like maybe try this is another form of a comedy. And
yeah,
I think both pieces of advice are valid for different kinds of comics.
Right. It's I don't know about you, but I'm just picturing the second guy doing a rail, like a bump. I don't know this human being. This is completely in my head. I know nothing about this man. Allegedly, he seemed like doing a rail, like, all right, you are for God. So, yeah, no, I think it was interesting. I think it was a good time for some comics because you had a chance to stop and reassess. Mm-hmm. Right, if you're doing it the right way, if you're beating your head against the wall, if you really enjoyed it, and like with Zoom, eventually what happened is they kept all the screens on. It's like right now on Zoom, you can see everyone's face, right? And they would have 1 or 2 strategic mics on. So if I told a joke, they would laugh. Now, to be fair, the people whose mics were on, their job was to laugh. So like, it didn't feel as natural, right? Like, when you got a real laugh.
Was it hard to hear the laughs on Zoom?
You hear like it would be like almost like a walkie-talkie, right? Like a radio, like so
like it had a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, like wrecked him, damn near killed him. That type of shit.
Yeah, I remember had that sort of problem when I was on stage. Like sometimes I would listen to recordings and be like, damn it, why didn't I hear the laughs on that one?
Yeah.
And then I would react like it didn't get a laugh and get super defensive. Like
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you don't hear it on, that's super weird. Yeah. Depending on
that's
what you're
also a
working.
sign like maybe I need to get a hearing aid.
Yeah. That happened. So I wear glasses now. Do you know how I found I needed glasses?
How did you find out that?
I was hosting this like uh game show, this like pun eccentric game show. And so people wrote scores, right? This is at Spring Street Comedy Corner, it was Pandemanium. And and
Fundamanium?
yeah, it was fun. It was a fun little group. And they had like a whiteboard, small whiteboard. And so the score is supposed to be 1 to 10. I'm like, is that a cue? What the like so there was one person in the far back, and this might be like 50, 60 yards. I could not see them. That makes perfect sense. The second person was probably like 20 yards. I didn't see them. The person was like in the front of the stage. Like
And that was
I
the person
could
who got the most answers right because of your nearsightedness.
no, they're the ones that they wrote like their score down. So like the three judges were there, the people, the contestants were up here, and they wrote down the score, and they're like, "Here's the score," and I'm like, I cannot read that score, and everyone like, it's a 5 or a 10 or whatever. It didn't matter what the number was. What mattered was people didn't want me to drive home at night. Like it was just so bad, and I'm like, so halfway through it, I'm like, am I blind? And they're like, yes, you are. Yeah, you need glasses. Thank you for coming to the show.
Be careful on the road. That speed limit says 15, not nifty.
Yeah, they're like, use high beams. People will forgive you. You need all the help you can get. So
And you said it was like a pun-based quiz show. Like,
yeah,
how did that work?
I don't even remember. I think it was just they give you like a topic and you had to make puns about it.
Was it this like in this like Jeopardy said like answering a question you had to answer in like a sarcastic remark?
Something like that. Yeah, somewhere you got like a couple minutes to make puns about a subject.
All right. Like, what was the funniest pun you heard during that night?
I'm not gonna lie to you, brother. After 2020, I brain dumped everything comedy related, and I don't remember anything. I remember people that I like.
Yep.
And that's it. And it's been the nicest thing I've ever done. So like, I don't remember any of your jokes. I barely remember most of mine. I've actually gone through videos and been like, oh yeah, that was a good joke. Write that back down. I have a new bit from like 2018.
Yep.
Yeah,
There's a Mila Delangelo had like a good quote about that stuff. She said, "We don't often remember what people say or did, but we remember how they made us feel."
yeah. No, that's been my experience. Nobody can ever recite my jokes exactly. They always recite how they interpret it.
Mhm.
Have you ever had someone like read back your jokes?
Like somebody saying, like, "Oh yeah, I remember that joke," and then
Yeah, like a family member or like a someone you're dating, someone that comes to shows a lot. Like you'll have like so everyone has their bit, right? And
I remember one person at Willis saying, like, "Man, your set is so good. You are so awkward on stage."
yeah. For you, I don't remember. I don't remember anyone's jokes. I mean, like you and I have talked about jokes, but I haven't heard you say them. I remember a couple during the plague that you would do. Fuck, what were they? It doesn't really matter because again, I'll mess them up real bad.
Yeah.
Because there was one, oh god, yeah, I don't remember. I remember laughing when I laughed, but I remember you because it was more about you were working on your body language. So I think you were talking about dating, and this was like an act, and you're talking about dating, and a bunch of things like that. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I don't remember that. I just remember your look, like your vibe, like the way you stood. You know what I mean? And the thing I remember the most, and the one that I remember you the most is I remember there was like a contest at Willie's.
Oh
And
yeah, I remember that contest night.
yeah. So I did I think I got second place, but you and me were after each other. But so if I could say Lieutenant Kelly's funny is his thing is he just likes being on stage. So he doesn't care the response he gets. Now, because he's gotten better, he wants laughter in that. But when he started, he did not did not care. He's just like any response is a good response. He does not give a crap. And so he would go do these mics at Willie's, and he would just not bomb, but freak like just bomb. Like people would feel like you feel him tense, right? It was pretty rough. And 'cause he's just hit. I mean, it's just body blow after body blow of punchlines.
Yep,
And
Willie's
then-
was that sort of mic where you either did really good or really did bad. There was no much middle in between.
Yeah, it was just one of them hits. You were throwing those blows, and then some of the contest just said, yeah, you want to win. I remember someone said this to you, and you went, mm-hmm. And then you went up there and you crushed. You just crushed. You crushed so hard. I'm like, I might lose. How you've been doing it for like a year. I'm like, this is gonna be some crap if you crush. And you what you'll do is you'll tell a joke and you have the smile on and you wait for the response. And then that stance you have, you had a little Hulk Hogan and no, just the stance you do when you tell a joke is what I think of the most. And yeah, and I just remember I remember when you hit, it comes back. And whichever comes back, you have a reaction for it. And it's real subtle, but it's just like the way you say, well, it's something like it's like just this one word thing you say, and it just it tickles me. That any other joke you say, however the crowd response is, how you click to it is what endears me. But again, as comics, we all listen differently. We look at like we are not fun people to listen to comedy with because we look at all the mechanical stuff. It's like listening to like Jimi Hendrix with a musician. It's just annoying.
Yeah, we just speak our own language.
Yeah, but no,
I'm trying
I
to
bring
think of like one of the kind of jokes I was saying at that time because I think it was like a couple years before I left out of Minneapolis before I started laying into the autism stuff.
Yeah, you just started talking about the autism stuff. That was one of them, and because you didn't before, and it was such an interesting take because like people just didn't because you just go up there and you tell your stuff and then you leave, and when you start telling people, well, yeah, I have autism, people are like, oh, okay, and then it clicked better for some like it was just that little bit of honesty, really opened your horizons, and on
that's
stage.
usually well, like David Harrison talked about this one time. He had this great piece of advice of how to make dark material work much better. He said like the best thing you can do to make your dark material more accessible is like reveal yourself a little bit at the start of your set so you're less of a stranger on stage.
Yeah, that's great advice. Like,
because I still see people comics down here. They get on stage just right in the dark material. It's sort of like getting a high surprised by a flasher.
yeah. It's exactly. I was talking with someone about this so before when I had a real job, we were talking about like it's the same thing that everyone says like, oh, you can't tell jokes anymore. And it's like whenever someone tells me that, I just know they're not going to enjoy the joke I make about them in 3 minutes. But the art of getting to the place where you can tell a dirty joke because you can do it anyway, right? You just have to kind of get them there, right? Make sure you know their sense of humor, figure out what that is, go that way.
It's like building an engine. Like you just gotta know like the right parts to set up. Like
building a relationship, right? If you want to date somebody, you got to do these like not necessarily all the same road, but like a couple milestones you need to hit. And then once you get to that part, you can make requests or like whatever jokes, whatever, right?
Understand like basic human psychology.
Yeah, but if they know you, because if you're not a stranger, it's fine, right? Like, because I've known you for a bunch of years, I can make a lot more jokes. I've met Darren a couple times, so he knows me enough that I can make some jokes, but I can't like really dig into them because we're not that cool yet. We're going to by the end of this podcast. We're coming together. Weird beard. Now the thing is it's a great beard. I'm just joking. But the thing with that is when you go on stage, it's interesting about comedy is like the persona you think you're presenting and then figuring out what people see when they look at you.
Oh yeah, like the more you like thing I've learned about during comedy is like you learn a lot about yourself and you think because most people go on comedy thinking they try to be someone like the version of them that they like a person who they think they are. Like they go on stage pretending like they're gonna be like the next Andrew Dice Clay or.
Well, there's that.
Really, they're just a sweethearted guy.
Yeah. Well, and even like if they were like overweight and then they've lost all that weight, but you can't tell if someone's like lost a lot of weight most of the time, right? They just look how they look. And so if someone, someone loses a lot of weight, but they've been big most of their life, they feel like a big person. They feel like, fat guy Entric, fat people Entric. And but if you don't look at when you go on stage and you start telling jokes about being big, and people don't get that that's where you're coming from, it can be really, really mean-hearted, right? Right? It's like
if you're telling jokes, like for example, telling like fat jokes as a non-fat guy, you just seem like you're a guy who's just being mean to other fat people.
right, because it's like, why are you bringing this up? Because like again, if you're a comic and you have a reason to tell a story, or tell a joke, or make a pun, whatever, right? Do a little
Like
dance.
for example, like Louis Anderson when he talked about his personal experience being growing up in a big family and being a big guy.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, if he lost all of his weight, or if he had lost all of his weight, and he just changed his entire look, and he just referenced what he was, like the Life with Louis show was perfect because it explained who he was. The cartoon, he had a cartoon when I was a kid.
Yep,
It
I
was a
remember
great
watching
cartoon.
that.
Yes, it was super dope. Actually, when I met Louis Anderson, it was wonderful because I'm like, it's like mean Darkwing Duck. Like I really didn't know he was a comic. I'm just like, he's Blue's Clues. This was amazing to me. He was a lovely man. And
Yeah, I never got to meet him yet, but I met his nephew a few times.
yeah, I'm friends with nephew too. And so like, but like, yeah, you can explain what your situation was, and then if you make jokes on it, if it's believable,
Mhm.
then people will get on board with it most of the time.
Yep. Like I have a list of things like the 6 characteristics of like a successful comedian. Like one of them is being genuine. Like
Yeah,
saying like if you talk about like for example, like if you go on stage and you talk about like how you're killing puss, like can I really believe you're that kind of guy who's killing puss?
right. It makes a thing. It's like it's one of those. It's so interesting where it's either you're obviously lying so much that it's funny,
Mhm.
but if you're only lying to yourself, then it's kind of sad and people tense, right?
Yep. I think that's
And
sort of like what gets people like irritated with like comics who virtue signal, just like I know you like to stalk women.
yeah,
Okay, I think I may
so,
have jumped a bridge too far, but
but no, but same thing. It's like if you can tell, um, if you can tell something's off about what they're presenting, subconsciously people get weird about it. What? Because like Cal, you make good eye contact, right? You stand up straight. You don't give off vibes that you're uncomfortable unless the angle changes, right? And so when you tell, but like when you're on stage, you can't control the angle. And so, and this happens to me too. That's why I'm so aggressive. That's why I move back and forth, right? Um, because I'm okay with what I know. When it's a new situation, I get more uncomfortable. And but you going on stage and going, yeah, I have autism. Um, this is where I am on the spectrum, whatever. And someone sees something, they're like, oh, that makes sense, right? Or like if I talk about being spotted bear and not looking as native as one would expect for that name, that comes up, right?
Mhm.
And so like I'll talk about that because I look, like someone who's mixed blood, you know what I mean? And so when someone who doesn't know anything about it has this idea in their head that isn't based on any real reality or a very limited one, they'll have prejudices.
Mhm.
And so if you can just explain, if you go like, hey, this is what's up, this is how we got to A to B, this is why we're here, you can tell any joke you want. Also, for the record with Louis Anderson, it doesn't matter. I was trying to like talk about how he looked. I was just saying, no matter where he was, if he told his story on the radio because he explained where he was from, that would have told his story. Like I didn't know Louis Anderson as an actor or as a person as much as just the cartoon. I know he showed up once or twice in the first episode, but I didn't
I
see the
remember
first
watching
episode.
his cartoon as a kid, and like I remember like the episode he did where he was sort of like being an apprentice for like another comedian, like
Yeah,
the episode where my favorite quote from the episode is like, "I could have been Louis Kazoo."
yeah, yeah. It's just like that's the thing about great jokes is if you tell the universe like Harry Mandel and Bobby's, right? Um, if you explain the universe, you can tell jokes in that universe. right? Or if you're reality, if you tell jokes for your reality, or if you make up a character, just be authentic in the character. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
Like explain how you're going through things because the odds are very good that people are going through that same experience as well.
yeah, and if they're not, they'll get it. You know what I mean? Because as long as your information makes sense, like that's the biggest thing I think people like bomb with jokes is they'll have a joke where they'll add an extra thing. They call it fat, like cutting the fat off of jokes, where you'll be like, so I was hanging out with this girl in a red dress. Okay. Was the red dress important? No, then take it out. Because if you're not going to reference the red dress in any way, it doesn't help anybody. And when you talk about yourself, it's like, yeah, I was a quiet kid. I peed the bed, and then just keep talking, but you don't bring up peeing the bed again. Yeah. It distracts people, and so
yeah, that's the thing about comedy is like we're constantly editing our acts. It's sort of like we're doing it like in front of a live audience, and
yeah, and it's fun. It's honestly, it's one of the difficult things about like meeting people now is like, so where are you from? I'm like, oh, you have to watch my first hour. It's very funny. If I just tell you my life without the jokes, it's just really sad because I've tightened it so much in my act that I'll just tell you because like part of the reason I started comedy was like to explain stuff. I learned to make jokes if it was like dark, you know, stuff I've done. And so with all the comedy stuff done, like all those jokes are perfect. If they're like, so you know, like how's this? And I'll just tell them the point blank story of what happened without any of the jokes to really, you know, sweeten the pot there because all the jokes are over here now. So when I meet people, I'm like, I got some stand-up clips. Watch that. If you have any other questions, come back for follow-ups. It'll be fine. I cover most of this now. Thanks. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, just send them a link to your YouTube channel saying like, this is how I'm doing.
Yeah. I'm not trying to be viral. I just want to be understood. I don't need millions. I just need a hug. That's all I'm saying. You know? So, but yeah, it's an interesting thing. How have you felt about your jokes since like being that kind of authentic, that different kind of authentic?
Well, it's sort of like it does, like revealing myself at the start of a set sort of like helps make me feel less like a performer and actually having actual conversation.
Right.
And if I'm still working on reading the room and just sort of like reacting, then like especially doing the mics down in Austin, like the scene down here, there's a lot of mics, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it sounds pretty it sounds like a lot of people that wear like weighted vests on stage to, you know, get ripped. I don't know. Like it just I don't know nothing. I don't know about us. I know the people my friends have gone down there. That's all I know about. It's like and everyone's pushing, everyone's really cooking. I know that much is true.
Yep,
it's like going to an LA mic.
Yep, it's definitely a comedy hub down here, and there's a lot of enthusiasm. That's nice to catch on to.
Normally I hide my higher pitched laugh because I'm friends with Kelly. I'll actually give a real laugh. I hate that about myself. Anyway, funny. Now, no, yeah, it's an interesting take of everyone trying to like, make it happen. That must be interesting because like at least there's like there's like solid work to be done and stuff like that, right? Because there was a big exodus into like Austin specifically, right? Like a lot of people moved into Austin. So
yeah, there's a lot of people moving down here, and there's a lot of mics, and it's sort of like it was very similar to my experience when I went over to LA a couple years ago.
Yeah. LA was weird. I didn't mind it. It was interesting watching like because there was like tiers of stand-up shows too, which was interesting. I mean, I guess that's everywhere, but like with there, it's like like they could walk beside each other and not talk. It's like it's like the movies where there's like twins, but it's the same actor, and like in the middle, there's something just like a little off center. That's what it feels like there sometimes. At least I was there. It might be an exodus of commonality now. I don't know. Never been there.
Yep.
So yeah, freaking but yeah, you're enjoying the scene. Getting like
Yep. Yeah, and also I started my own open mic list last February.
where's it at?
Is at a place called Beer 30 up in Maynard, Texas.
Oh, cool.
So it's right on the outskirts of Austin. It's in that Goldilocks zone of being in a like between the city and out of the city.
Okay. Like a first tier suburb.
Yep.
Nice. What
So
day?
it's every second and fourth Saturday of the month.
So every second Sunday, second and fourth Sunday. That's pretty cool. That's a good time. So that way you don't lose. Yeah, you can get like a pretty consistent going without having to worry about it all week. That's pretty smart.
Yep, and the bar staff and the bar is very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and
Oh.
we got a couple regulars who come in every Saturday.
Yeah, I love that. I miss the comedy regulars. You know what I mean? Just the people that hang around. Like they're not doing comedy. Some of them want to, but some of them silly don't. They just like watching the art. That's super. I love those guys. The people. Yeah.
Yeah, we have this one regular who says he takes like jujitsu classes with Joe Rogan.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's my big in with the big dog.
Man, what? You need to get into jujitsu. I think you'd love it. Reading all that body language, you'd be really into it.
Yeah, well, I
Figuring
did
out-
take a couple before I moved on Minneapolis. I did take a couple of boxing lessons, and that really helped with my stand up.
Yeah, yeah. Jiu-jitsu might too. I enjoyed it when I did it.
Yeah, my other brother says the same thing.
Yeah. Well, because you can lock up body parts in kind of an interesting way. Because like the body, there's certain things it'll do where your body will just naturally react to it. So like if you
Yep.
click your arm like this, your elbow won't bend. You know what I mean? If you hold someone's holding like this, your elbow won't fight it because it doesn't want to get broke. Right? It's
Yep.
it's not voluntary. So
Yeah, I
learning,
also heard like learning like how to properly defend yourself like helps with body intelligence.
yeah, you get to read again. It's another body language thing where it's like reading up who can because you can normally tell who can not necessarily fight but defend themselves if they run, how they stand. You know what I mean? Like if they have like 1 foot back all the time. So like I always like knife out my feet. So in case I have to like jump back real quick, you know what I mean? I'm never all my weight isn't just dead center, things like that, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But you can tell a lot. Did you how did boxing help your comedy? I'm curious. Was it like for hecklers? Just
Yeah, well, it gave me more confidence on stage, saying like, okay, I can defend myself on stage, so I can do more shit talking.
nice.
Especially when you go to like those rural shows, like
Yeah.
where like the local heckler is like the town favorite guy, so you have to learn how to work them. You can't just call up the staff saying like, "Hey, get rid of this guy," like they do at the mothership.
Yeah. Where it's like the guy is like the fan favorite or the guy who just wants to fight. It's like, yeah. It's like, I'll beat you up. You're beating up a comic, dude. What where do you think this falls in the tough guy lore? You know what I mean? We're not like, yeah, that's fair. That's super funny. I would I would pay good money to watch you stomp a heckler with a 3-piece. Just what happened? Well, Kelly told a pretty controversial punchline, and then he hit this guy in the liver.
Well, there is this one mic down in Austin that it's a heckle mic at Creek in the Cave every Sunday.
Yeah.
It's just basically damn it. I've got to record more of my sets there because every time like I have a really good set, it's not when I'm not recording, and then when
That's life. That's life. Yeah.
it's the curse of the camera.
The best recording is the one that got away. Yeah, always.
Yep. But basically the way this mic is set up is like you do 1 minute of like regular material, and then the last 2 minutes you get mercifully heckled.
Okay. Do you get over like that would be weird. I don't know if I've ever done a real purposeful heckle show. I've done a show where everyone heckled me once, like the Arrows of 300, but like I haven't had.
It's actually more of a roast mic than a heckle mic.
Okay, so people just like so it's not just everyone yelling at
Yep.
you. Is it that just?
Yeah, it's sometimes you just get people just yell at you over and over again, and you're trying to respond to one person. It's just like one. It's just basically like a comedy hazing section.
Okay, I can see the sales pitch of it to get used to, because yeah, if you freeze up, you're screwed.
Yep.
That's the deal.
Now,
You just can't freeze. You just gotta stay fluid. Because if you listen to a new comic and they say like anyway, it's where like a joke was supposed to go and they just didn't put one there. So it's almost
yep.
like yeah.
I've also been
And then-
reading books on like how to do proper shit talking.
Okay.
I got this book a few years ago.
Yo mama and the other fucking shit.
But this is some been trying to incorporate some of those techniques in my acts, but the better book, I have it right here. I think I showed you this one. This book is worth its weight in gold.
Improve your conversations. Okay, think on your
Yes.
feet. Witty banter. All right.
Yep. It's written by Patrick King. He's a conversational coach.
Okay. Has it helped out?
Yeah, I read it like I got this book like last January after I was on Kill Tony.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, because well, like I think you already saw like my clip where I was on stage. I had like a decent set, and then I just sort of like I was in like full autistic mode during the interview portion.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean, but continue.
Just trying to think like instead of
Yeah,
like
I
reacting to the conversation, just trying to think of something super funny to say and stiffening
Yeah.
up.
How do you combat that?
Well,
Or
I think
how have you been combating that with this book? Like, what is the information it gives you?
well, just practice like doing natural conversations, like doing like the 100 person rule. Just walk up to 100 people and just start a light conversation. I think I'm doing what I did before, like you sitting in action when I do my daily joke quota.
Yeah.
Where I just tell like a lighthearted joke in a conversation, just like a simple yes and response
Yeah.
to a person.
Yeah, that is important. I've learned that. I did that when I was like 18. I was real quiet and I just started getting funny. I went up to people and just said whatever I thought. I was just like, I'll just say the weirdest thing and see what happens. And either people walked away or they started laughing. And then I learned how to joke around more. And then I learned to move my eyebrows. That was a big selling point of that. Because I'd be like, sometimes I would just say something messed up and just be like mad. Like, something weird. But yeah, no, that sounds great. Fuck.
Yeah, it's a muscle that just needs to keep being stretched.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Because yeah, I've seen you because like your talking style, like I've seen you conversate with like people and be like real chill and dominate the conversation, but you're real like laid back with it, which I kind of envy because I'm pretty well, I guess I've gotten like more laid back. But I see myself as someone who engages more in conversation because that's how I started it. You know what I mean? And yeah, people come to you and I've seen you like work it, but I haven't seen you like roast battle anybody. You haven't like dropped your mama so fat jokes on anybody. And
I've
love
been
to
to
see
that
it.
heckle mic. I'm much better like being defensive and like taking the cheat. That not very good at actual heckling, which I think is a good thing because that's not something you want to be good for in comedy.
Yeah. What are you good at in comedy? The worst part of it, I am.
Here, watch me destroy this guy on stage.
Yeah, I am the bringer open mic of comics.
It's gonna be
Freaking
like
the guy. No,
I kind of want to see like who's like the world's greatest comedy heckler.
oh yeah, that'd be fun. Do you ever see the Andy Kaufman bit? I'm forgetting the guy's name. Something Fatone or something like that. He Andy Kaufman would have a heckler in the audience. Do you know what I'm talking about? He would look like a lounge singer, big mustache. I'm gonna look up his name while we're talking. So he
I know
didn't.
the alter ego's name was Tony Clifton.
Tony Clifton. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Tony Clifton. And so yeah, he would go on there and make him cry, and then like they would pull him out and he'd be screaming, "No, no, stop!" And this is, yeah, be that guy. Be that guy.
Have you ever watched Paul Provenza's The Green Room?
Loved it. I know exactly which one you're talking about with Bill
Yep.
Burr and yeah.
Yep,
Oh,
there was
so
an
good.
episode where there was one guy doing like a Tony Clifton impersonation.
Yeah. It's like, what was it? Is everyone had a if everyone had a good night, I'm happy. I forget what his little catchphrase was.
Yep, it's
And
that does sound something Andy Kaufman do, like something totally WWE related.
yeah, yeah, I love that stuff. Like, it's not my vibe. I don't get like that troll comedy, you know what I mean? Where like they're like, you know what I mean? Like I don't necessarily like I'm not good at pranks. You know what I mean? Like I don't get pranks. Like I enjoy them, I'm just not good at them.
Yep.
And so watching someone make a prank or make something like that, I think is cool. But if I was in, I'd probably be in. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
I've watched another pranking is also another art form that takes practice to do. Like we've seen people, especially like young Gen Z kids, they're starting pranking, and then they just say like, "Hey, your dad's in the hospital." Whoa, whoa. They did. It's like, okay, like you forgot the part where you had to
Oh my
bring the
god!
dad on, saying like, "Hey, I'm still okay."
If we can make a catchphrase, whoa. Oh my god! Oh, so we're both dying here. We are not breathing this deep all week. Good god! Cracked open my diaphragm with that one. Yeah, that's in the hospital. Oh god! Oh, we are both red faced right now. For you, ladies and gentlemen, people of the earth. Oh my lord. Yeah, it is interesting watching. Do you ever watch The New Girl?
The new girl was Zoe Deschanel.
Yeah, yeah. There's an episode where this guy's trying to do pranks, and it's like he either goes way too soft or way too hard.
Oh.
It's like, and it's the same thing. He's like, I put a small amount of sand in his right shoe. He's gonna be mind blown. Or I kidnapped his dog. It's like one of the two.
It's quite an escalation.
Yeah, yeah. It's an art form you don't think about, but it's not. Yeah, like that type of stuff. Like if it holds a point, I like it. If it's derivative and it doesn't have a solid point, I don't like any humor where it's like, well, we're in the know. It's like that's never
Right.
never that humor. So I would, but if you decide to make a surfboard Kelly Berger character, I would buy that action figure. Honestly, you could just if you we can edit this out if you don't want to, but we could market you of just getting certain Ken dolls and just like putting like cigarette burns and like deadening the eyes a little bit. And I think we got your merchandise lickety split. You know what I mean?
My own Ken Kelly doll.
Yeah, yeah. There's one of Hagrid for me where you just pull back his hair and pretty much keep the clothes because I don't dress well. So we got some killer merch on us, buddy. They don't really make any plus size dolls. I guess like a sad teddy bear. I guess that would be me. Just like a teddy bear in the street. That would be
Well,
my son.
some people often tell me like I'm as expressive as a Ken doll.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, it's an interesting thing for you where it's like, because you're in a, um, like for me, like one of the little things that changed my performance on stage is glasses, right? Glasses changes how people react to me, right?
Oh, yeah, because you're not just believable as like the hardened Native American military
Yeah.
vet.
Yeah. They're like, well, he can't be like that. He has glasses on. He must be silly. It's
He must have an art major.
yeah. It's like I feel like that hair buns in some way. And so yeah, learning that look about yourself is such an interesting thing where you have like it's interesting because you do have like a Ryan Gosling no blinking effect that I think could really work for you. Because if you talk to that guy, he also never blinks, and it's just adorable. I love it. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you see the Barbie movie?
I did. Did you see it?
I have not yet.
Have you seen it?
Not yet. Soon.
I think I might go see Oppenheimer first.
Barbie, I guarantee you Barbie will be better. I really enjoyed the Barbie movie. it was, as the jokes go, it was well written. It
I heard Ryan Gosling was really good in it as Ken.
They were all really good in it. It was a really good movie. Margaret Robbie was amazing. She objectively, one, I didn't realize how much she looked like a Barbie doll. So yeah, like, well, no, like the original, like, it's insane because you don't think about Barbie as a person, like, because like you see her and she's attractive, but like they put her like next to a Barbie and you're like, oh, like, because it was like an original Barbie, and it's like, oh yeah, she looks like Barbie.
Yeah, and also
But
Margot Robbie has good comedic timing too.
yeah, and she's good comedic timing. She has good dramatic timing. So does Ryan Gosling. Everyone in that movie was great. And like with Oppenheimer, I get annoyed because it's like, yo, they're omitting so much from that movie that it's just like, I know enough. I've read enough about the Manhattan Project that I know they didn't put in that movie so much. So I'm just like, this is all. No, I'm sure the actors are great. I'm sure the movie is fantastic. It's just like the Barbie movie might be more realistic to the events of reality than whatever the hell Oppenheimer's doing. I just, and so, like, that's why I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to see 3 hours of someone um feeling melancholy, but like righteously so. It's just like whatever. The Barbie
I just
movie
like
was
how
great.
the marketing, like how the timing, like how these two different kind of movies just came out at the same time. People just made it an event together.
I think that's great. Apparently, there's the new Saw and Paw Patrols is also coming out at the same time. I think this is a great combo. I feel like this is a good day
Yeah,
because
movies
I
are gonna
feel
try
like
to plan this out in advance, trying to recreate this once in a lifetime thing.
I think it's dope. I think if you watched Oppenheimer and then Barbie, I think it'd be great. Because the thing is with Barbie that I think people don't get, it's like the Lego movie where they never no so like whatever the hell people, because people get weirded out because I've seen people going like, well, they demasculate Ken. Ken has literally always been demasculated. That's like he literally never had genitals. I apologize. I wasn't saying that about Ken. I was mostly just talking about your hair. And you just have really nice hair going. He has like a good swoop, like a Ken doll. It's a good haircut. Looks like a reporter. And so he's put together nice, like Ken was. But Ken was also known as like not having genitals because they're not sexual creatures because they're fucking plastic. And so the movie never sways from that because they're Barbie and Ken dolls. So some of the stuff that people have like manufactured doesn't make sense because it's like how do Lego people fuck? They don't reference that because it's not part of the story, right? Like they don't have a Lego BJ in the movie because that's not what Legos do, right? What is
They did. They would
the
put like that little top head circle in their crotch area.
yeah? Well, they joke about that in the Batman movie. One's on the other one's head, right? That was wildly sexual, but in the world of Lego, so that's my thing. So like the Barbie movie, I thought was fantastic. They had really good jokes and good acting. Yeah, no, people got weird about it. I watch it. So this is the caveat. I watch it with my wife, and yeah, it wasn't as like down your throat as people said it was. It's just like people get. I get more concerned about guys that relate themselves to Ken. Like I don't know. I just never saw myself as Ken. Yeah, that's me, baby.
Yep, you know how I make my lack of personality my personality.
Yeah, it's such a good. I really enjoyed the film. I thought it had great jokes and great timing, and the acting was good because there was some like serious parts in the world of what it was, right? Which I love that. I love when like you have serious actors doing silly stuff,
Right.
right? And so that's where it clicked for me. And then there was a couple jokes that my wife specifically wanted me to watch, and I loved them. And apparently it's like 50-50 if a guy does or doesn't. But I thought they
like
were
it's like a
hysterical.
litmus test. Like if your guy laughs at this jokes, run away.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it. But also with the jokes, I'm like, I kind of see where she's coming from. Because the one they did, I was like, oh, that's hysterical. And I know two guy friends of mine that would get annoyed because of how much they do it. And yeah, I thought it was a great movie. I thought it was a great movie. I wouldn't see it again because I'm still, misogynistic, but it's still a great movie. I don't want to support them or nothing, but
Right.
no, sincerely, it's
Like
it's
if you
an
give that movie
objectively.
too much money, and women will make more money than men.
Oh no, don't ruin that. they're trying to get it with AI, right? All the guys are everyone's out anyway, right? They're gonna like, everyone's getting not paid equally. Isn't that their point now?
Well, I'm
No,
already being. I'm trying to be ahead of AI by delivering my jokes like AI.
I can do a robotic voice too. Come at me. you you don't have a robotic voice, but that's funny. Yeah, no, it's
Well,
yeah,
I did
I thought
listen
it
to
was
some of my old recordings, and I'm still working on trying to be less monotone on stage because
excuse me. Thank you.
that's
Excuse me.
another reason why I bring up my autism up front.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just seems like super weird. Like when I don't bring it up, I just sound like a guy who's just like delivering jokes like right out of a typewriter.
Right. It just makes it makes a little difference because it shows that I don't know why, but that
That's
little
also
thing is just like,
another reason why comics are recommended to take acting classes, like to learn how to emote.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
show me like you're excited without saying you're excited.
yeah. Like some of it too is like if you tell a dirty joke and you just and you tighten up, they'll tighten up. Right. That's actually one thing I talked to someone about this early on with you. Was one thing she would do is because whatever you would say, and you wouldn't say like really horrible stuff or nothing. You just say, but whatever joke you would say, like you would stay there and you'd wait for the response, right? And it was so interesting because it was such a because again the thing that I found that I thought was coolest about you, well not coolest, but like the thing I noticed most about you, like especially early stage presence, was you would say what you would say, and then the thing will come back, and you'd be like, and then keep going, keep popping, right? And that's fantastic. That makes you unstoppable on stage because you saw someone who tells a joke that they don't fully believe in or they think's a little dirty. You ever see a comic say like, "Well, this one might be a little too much," and they kind of like tuck in their shoulder like the Gerber baby.
Mm-hmm.
When they tell that joke and they tighten up and they just you feel their chest going, you feel them like take a step back, you feel them
Like
tuck it into the mic, hugging. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When their energy goes back in to shell themselves from what they just said, the audience will also shell up, and the joke will fall flat. Where if
and
you
also
stay,
like another advice I've heard from Jeff Corley said like whatever state of mind the comic is on stage will match how the audience is going to feel about it.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Like they do trust you, and the comedy. One thing I liked about comedy the most was how much the communication is in verbal, right? Like because if you keep the rhythm up, if you get your rhythm down, because I remember Mel Burr did this where I heard about this. I haven't seen the tape, but he would tell his jokes in his rhythm, and then he would read the newspaper, and he would still get a laugh. Mm-hmm. And if you keep a beat with the audience, whatever that beat is, they'll train to the beat, right?
Yep, they'll pick up in your mood instead of what you're actually saying. And
yeah,
a lot of comics get that. A lot of comics who take things very literal get that confused. Like, oh, he was just talking about like sandpaper, and he was killing it. And I talked about like the state of affair of the human condition, and yet everyone fell asleep.
Right, and like it's like either they'll say something real where like if the word's really important, to stop for like a second, like 5 seconds, which feels like forever on stage, where you can like chill out, let people, because people think, you ever had like someone tell you something and you think you heard them and then you're like, what? Because it didn't register in time. Same thing. It's like throwing a ball. Mm-hmm. You got to let them catch it and throw it back, right? You got to give them a little bit of time to like.
Or like when you're reading a book and you're just like, okay, I'm read a couple of chapters, paragraphs, like, what did I just read? And then you have to reread it again.
Yeah, and you kind of got you got to let your brain process whatever you hear.
Yeah, you got to learn like I read this one thing saying like there's when a performer's on stage, there's 2 types of noises that they make that come out, either like a lecture or a song.
Right, and like once you know what you're doing, mm-hmm. you can adjust accordingly, right? And like and that's a big deal. That like authenticity and like that, and just that rhythm, because again, like people remember. So people with me with my jokes, they'll remember a catchphrase. They'll remember a specific thing, right? So like, one joke I had with nails with baseball bats sticking out of them. That's like one I get told all the time.
Yep, the one with your
Uh,
mother.
The one with my mom, yeah.
Yep,
And
I can remember that one.
yeah. That one's my big one. The spoon one, where I talk about eating cereal with my heroin spoons when I was a kid. The baseball bat was me finding out when I left Pittsburgh that not everyone had a baseball bat with nails sticking out.
Yep.
And so it's just a joke. It's like those are like two big jokes that people will remember, but they can't really recite it. They'll shorthand it, and they'll get sometimes they'll get the the um the moral of what I was saying, and sometimes their moral's different because their view's different. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. And so what I can present and the thing I can control, because how people take my jokes, I can't actually control. What I can control is what I look like, how I react, how I act, because that's what they'll remember more. Because if they don't like my jokes, they're not going to like me. It's a weird thing. It's like most people can't tell everyone's jokes off hands. Like, so if someone can recite everyone's joke, there's a good chance they don't really know what that person looks like, right? Like,
Right.
but if someone likes a comic, they like that person's vibe. It's like a conversation. And what you control is what you do, like how you dress, how you present yourself, and then
Yep.
figuring out how you look at the moment to recognize how you present to other people, right? Like, so I'm wearing a red shirt right now. If I talk about how much I hate the color red, it wouldn't make sense
Right.
because of what I'm wearing.